Welcome into the Banter.
Welcome.
I haven't been on the Banter in a long time.
You haven't been on the Banter in a long time.
I don't even know what to do here. My headphones are gone.
Oh, why is it that it seems like that works whenever Brad touches the light?
He's a conductor, man.
He is a conductor.
I own a train.
If you're wondering why Brad and I aren't wearing headphones, Brad has headphones. I don't.
No, I don't.
That's true. Brad doesn't have headphones anymore. I took mine over to the warehouse to do debate night yesterday. I think they're in my car. I don't know. They're gone.
Oh, don't worry, guys. I
Things
still have
tend to
headphones.
disappear in
I
your
got to
car.
hear and make sure it sounds okay.
Yeah, Connor's got headphones. Connor can hear us. We can't hear him. What'd you say, Big Con?
I have.
We can hear him. It was a joke. Just a little jape to start your morning. A little Josh.
A little japester. I have
Drake
found
and Josh.
myself in almost every social setting. All I want to do is ask people about the snail question. About like if you could choose would you take $1 million but a snail is constantly like if it touches you you die, and it's like a highly intelligent snail that's always trying to get you. I want to ask everybody that question every
It's a good
scenario.
question.
It is a good. We talked about it on here. Or did we talk about my mailbag?
I think it was the mail. We probably did them both.
Either way, you guys have probably heard. I think it's popular on the social medias. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just like if you had a highly intelligent snail. But anyway, I don't want us to talk about that because we've already talked about it. I just want you guys to know that I have like a problem now where I feel like I need to ask everybody that question.
What do you feel like it tells you about someone?
Basically, most people, the more like there's a certain kind of person that keeps on trying to find like roundabout ways and stuff like that to trap the snail. I'm like, you can't trap it in a box. Mm-hmm. That's like one of the things. And they're like, but I would just put it in like a box. I'm like, you can't put it in a box. You can't do it. And then they're like, whoa, it's like a snail. It's so slow. I'm like, but it's intelligent. It can hook onto somebody's leg and then like get on a plane and like get on a boat, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And so I don't really know what it tells me about people, but I learned something, I feel like. Like, are they scared of snails?
When I was answering it, I just like forgot about the other side of the scenario where you can just say no and just live your life normal. And so I think I just said, my answer was, because I said it and then Trevor or one of them was just like, oh, so Hunter just wants $1 million and he's basically just going to like go die. And I was like, oh, well, no, that's not what I would choose. But I was just thinking like, what would I, like if you were forced into that scenario is how I answered it. And I basically just said like, I would just get to the most remote island possible and then just sit there. And just enjoy life.
Yeah.
Enjoy life. You know, I can eat whatever food I want. Well, yeah, I have $1 million.
But how are you going to get to the island?
Well, like not that remote of an island.
So like it'll come like packages.
No, it's in my bank account. I have a card, a Visa.
No, but like the food would come in packages and stuff.
It's not that remote of an island.
Oh, okay.
Like there's restaurants.
Gotcha.
But just like something where I have to like fly and then maybe take a boat. So I got like a solid few days. And I just eat a bunch of food, enjoy time on the beach, and then just like...
And then get snailed.
Well, because like if you're forced into that scenario, again, I would just say no to the scenario because... But if you're forced into
you're saying you just wouldn't try to run away. You would just like live like a
because
good like
why
few
would
days.
What is $1 million if your entire life is you're just worried about the snail catching you? And then you have to look behind you all the time.
Wow.
So like I would just... If I was forced into it, which is how I answered the question the first time... then I wouldn't want to like live my whole life just like terrified of something catching me. Mm-hmm. Because like you couldn't even, how would you sleep?
I guess the only side, because initially my answer was no, I would not take the $1 million. I'm the same way. I don't want to look over my shoulder for the rest of my life, whether it's one day or 1,000,000 days. But with $1 million, theoretically, I could hire like a 24-hour security team to watch my back, I guess.
But how long is that lasting for $1 million?
That's not lasting that long. That's probably lasting a couple years.
That's what I'm saying. Or you could just live a couple years and then you're in the exact same shoes, but no snails chasing you.
I think the real thing is
like
that we just need to start a movement of you need to live every day like the snail's about to get you. Like how would you live your life differently if you knew the snail was going to get you tomorrow? I'd probably spend like a good 2.7 seconds on a bull named Fu Manchu.
That's funny. Very funny.
Thanks.
I think you really, when you go deep with the snail question,
Yeah.
I think this could be completely wrong, but I would imagine the intention behind the snail question is to get you to realize how valuable your life is.
Yeah.
Because you do like.
I don't think there's much intention behind this question.
People who come up with a question like that, they always like it's always someone who had way more deep intent and deeper intent, and then it makes it a TikTok, and then the intent's gone, and it's just a bunch of people like making TikToks about like the train question of like, would you pull the lever?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that question. I forget what that question was exactly.
I don't want to talk about it.
Completely different question, but like, would you pull the lever? Like that question, it's because it's like gets you to really think through values and stuff. I would imagine that's where the snail question originally came from, because it's a really like if you think about it and you're saying I would take the $1 million, and then you go all the way through and like get real deep with it, you eventually realize like Brad just said, oh, I'll hire a security team, and you're like, okay, but if I hire the security team, now I only have a few years of the security team, and then I'm right back where I was, and it's like, or the snail's gonna catch me and then I'm dead. And at the end of the day, you keep hitting and then I'm dead, and you're like, well, the $1 million isn't worth that.
Amen.
And then you're like, wait a second,
your life is worth.
I
more
value
than $1
my
million.
life more than $1 million.
Yeah, so maybe I do it for like $2 million. I'm just kidding.
$8 million, yeah.
There is it's linear. There is a number where it does matter. I think 10, 12, 50 million.
Well, because eventually you can hire the security team the rest of your life.
Yeah. I'm like, okay.
But what if the snail's so intelligent that it invests in the stock market and pays the security team more and then kills you?
Yeah.
The security team kills you. It
Yeah.
ends up not even being the snail that gets to you.
No, it's you.
The snail team 6 turns on you, and boom, as
Yeah.
quickly and mysteriously as he came, he's gone.
Yeah. And
What if the snail doesn't have to touch you to kill you? If it's highly intelligent and its goal is just to like get you dead, then what if it knows like, hey, if I just crawl on this bus driver's shoulder, it's gonna freak out and it's gonna run into Hunter in the middle of the road.
Yeah, or it
And
poisons
you die by bus because the snail made it happen.
That could be it.
Yeah, poison. Arrow.
Surely, there's so many rules to that game. Surely one of them is the snail has to touch you for you to die.
But yeah, the snail.
Surely.
That's not the only way you can die, though. It's just that if the snail touches you, you die.
True. That's a good
But
point.
if it's a highly intelligent snail, it can make something else happen. Maybe it's learned how to use a gun. I'm just kidding. It's made a little snail gun.
Yeah.
Shoot slow though.
Yeah. Do you think, over the past couple weeks, do you think snails have ever been talked about as much as they have the last couple weeks, just as a species?
I don't know.
I feel like this was like a 2 year ago trend or a year
I
ago
don't
trend,
know.
right?
I think it was maybe not quite.
Well,
last
Konner
year.
probably just saw it on YouTube Shorts. So
No,
that
I
means
heard
that
it from
probably
you guys.
it probably came on TikTok like
No,
3
I
years
heard it
ago.
from Mailbag. Somebody
Yeah.
asked on Mailbag. That's
Okay.
where I heard.
Because it was a
the first time.
huge TikTok trend, but during that, no, snails definitely became very famous.
Okay.
Way
there
more
was-
famous than ever before.
In next to my parents' neighborhood, whenever I was growing up, they like when you pull out of their neighborhood to the right, there's a bridge that goes over like a creek, and apparently in that creek there is an endangered species of snail. That I don't remember what kind of snail it was, but apparently it was an endangered species of snail. And so in order to protect it, they rebuilt the bridge. I don't know how they tied this in together, but apparently they had to rebuild the bridge because there's some kind of endangered species of snail, and they were worried about it falling on them or something. To which I would say, what about the endangered species or the not endangered species of human that's driving across the bridge? I care more about them not falling. Like if the
Well,
bridge.
also, how did construction not hurt the snails?
Yeah.
I know. And if the bridge is going to fall, I think it's going to hurt a person more than it's going to hurt a snail.
Probably.
Someone found a grant. They're like, I know how we can get this bridge.
Yeah, I
guys.
think
know.
that must have been it. But they rebuilt the bridge, and it was out for like so long, and it was like the fastest way for us to get everywhere. So it literally added an extra 10 minutes onto every drive.
That was
we
like
had.
when
Protected the snails, though.
Brody and Kelsey moved to Lynchburg. The neighborhood they bought a house in, there's two ways to get to it. One was off of this like not super main road, but a pretty busy road, but you had to drive from that road like 8 minutes down another road to get to their neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Or there was a main road and there was a bridge that led you basically straight to their neighborhood.
Is that train bridge?
Yeah.
That wooden one?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. But when they moved in, bridge is out for construction. They bought the house. They're being told like, it's not gonna be that long till the bridge is back. Like it's gonna be so much nicer when the bridge is back, because right now like where I live is like off of this main road. So like if Brody and Kelsey were coming to our house, it should have only been like a 7-minute drive.
Yeah.
But going the other way was like 15 to 20. Not a huge inconvenience, but in Lynchburg,
That's a
that's a
way.
long drive.
Yeah.
And even for them to like get to the grocery store, it added like 10 minutes. Everywhere they went, it added 10 minutes it wouldn't have had to have had. And they moved in and then lived here for a while and then moved out and moved back to Dallas. all before the bridge ever got built, completed. And then now the bridge is done now. And so when the bridge was finished, Liz and I like drove over to it, took a picture. I don't know if we took a picture or just texted them. But regardless, we drove across it in honor of them. I was like, hey, I'm driving y'all's bridge. I just made it to your neighborhood in record time.
That's really funny. That's very funny.
And if that bridge, listen here, if that bridge would have been completed, they might have stayed.
They might have stayed. Yeah.
They might have stayed. That was the last straw.
Yeah, but
Darn
how
that
many
bridge.
snails fell victim to that bridge, though, is what I want to know.
3, maybe 4.
Can we have a moment of silence for this, Niels? Okay, that's good.
Okay. I don't completely subscribe to social Darwinism. I would even say that I do a little bit, but I just like, if there's an endangered species of snail, why were you trying to protect it?
I gotta agree with Brad. That was just someone wanted to build that bridge.
Yeah.
Someone found a grant. They're like, I know how to get the money for this bridge, guys.
You're right, and if so, they are a genius. They are very.
Is there a plaque on the bridge that says like in honor of the musty brown snail?
I don't think so.
There should be.
I don't think so.
You should go put that plaque.
I used to go play on all the construction equipment a lot though. By play on it, I mean whenever I was in high school.
That's perfectly fine.
So you just hopped on the bobcat and just
Have you guys ever just accidentally found an endangered species?
No. I don't know if I've ever seen an endangered species other than at a zoo.
Bald eagle?
Okay, yep, I have seen that. Aren't they not endangered anymore? Didn't that just change?
I think they're off the list.
I think they just made it off the list.
Now we're in danger because there's so many of them.
Yeah. No, I love. Okay, I'll come back to my endangered species comment, but
okay,
the thing that I always, and my nephew is from Washington State.
Okay.
So I forget, he lives on the coast, and bald eagles are just a thing
They're just there. Yeah.
Wow.
Just like crows are here, they have bald eagles. And you see in Alaska, if you ever watch Deadliest Catch or whatever, they're just they got on the dock and there's 50 bald eagles, and that's terrifying to me. And I love bald eagles. No, one time I was in my yard, we had a creek that ran through my parents' property. This was when I was younger, and I just saw this little orange thing, and it looked like a little lizard, and I picked it up, and it was some sort of yellow,
a poison
red
dart frog,
spotted newt, and I looked it up, and it was extremely endangered, and I had to call the DNR and say, hey, I found this here.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It was also terrifying. I'm like, please don't die.
Yeah, not only did I find it, but I'm a kid, so I picked it up and played with it, and it's kind of dying right now.
I put it in my pocket and then fell.
Yeah. I put it in my pocket. I jumped on the trampoline. Yeah. It's no longer with us.
It tasted like orange.
I made it fight with one of my Transformers.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. The
Optimus
things
slime.
Kids really endanger a lot of frogs and species in general.
Yeah.
Just because, who didn't? If I found a frog in the backyard, I played with it.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, yeah.
Because it's a frog. It's just a fun little thing. You pick it up. Boop, boop, boop,
pick it up.
Yeah.
Throw it, play catch with it. I'm just kidding.
Well, even so my young Eli's 10, and he likes to play, if he finds a toad or whatever. He found this huge one the other day, and he goes, hey, Dad, look, and picks it up above his head, and of course the toad,
jumps
every
time.
And falls on his back and is, paralyzed for a few minutes. It's fine, everybody.
Okay,
calm
all right,
down.
all right.
We flipped it over. He's good. He's back out eating bugs. But, I'm just they're going to get hurt from that high.
We also don't think of that when you're a kid.
No, I don't.
It's look. And every time you say, look, whatever's in your hand is gone.
Okay.
From whatever height you're at.
There are 3 types of people.
Okay.
In regards to wildlife, right?
No, just only 3 types. Period.
Also, I watched a video on Steve Irwin the other day, and I almost cried. Anyway,
don't do that to me, Brad.
I know. I love Steve Irwin. He was my hero when I was growing up.
He was my. I basically considered him like my uncle.
Yeah, Uncle Steve,
baby.
Everyone's got an Uncle Steve.
I would say he was my dad, but I had a dad that loved me, so I feel like that's disrespectful.
You
to my
have
father.
an uncle that loved you?
I don't have an uncle that loved me.
There you go. But okay. Which type? Hunter, I'm going to ask you first. Okay. I think I know. No, I don't know what Connor's going to say. After listening to Trevor's playlist from last week, I feel like I underestimate people and I don't judge them correctly.
Wow.
So I'm not going to assume that I know what you guys are going to answer.
Maybe next
I'm
time.
reevaluating.
I feel like I'm pretty easy to estimate.
I'm not going to say yes.
I wear my heart on my sleeve.
Yeah. All right. There are 3 types of people in this world. You're on your lawnmower.
Yeah.
Okay.
You see
I'm behind my lawnmower.
You see a snake in front of you.
Okay.
There's 3 types of people. Person number 1 runs over the snake. Person number 2 drives around the snake. Person number 3 puts it in park and jumps on the snake and grabs it. Which one are you?
I'm technically person number 4. in this scenario,
Which you
I
don't
hate
mow?
to do that. No,
Oh.
I mow, but if there's any type of animal that I don't want to mess with in front of me, bees, snakes, frogs even, I just sit until they move.
Okay.
So I guess I'd be closer. I guess of those, I'd be the one that drives around.
Yeah, you're the one that
But
doesn't
I don't
mess
want
with
my
them.
yard to be like, have a little.
Right, okay.
So I just sit. I just let it. Because if I kill it, I'm always terrified. Snakes in particular, I'll take a shovel to cut their head off. And I've multiple times missed or not killed it. And then I feel bad because I'm making a snake suffer.
Yeah.
Because I didn't do it in one fair sweep. And B, if I miss, I'm now terrified because I have an angry snake. It's only happened a few times, so I choose. I didn't see the snake. My wife doesn't know I saw a snake. There is no snake in our backyard. That's my option.
Okay. Yeah, you're in the category of drive around.
Yeah.
You're not going to mess with
I'm not
them.
going to mess with it.
You
That
let 'em do
thing
their
needs to just
thing.
go on,
Yeah.
do its thing. If it's a dangerous snake, I'll call my exterminator and explain to him what happened and tell him like it's somewhere in the backyard.
Yeah.
Either find it or tell me it's not there.
To be fair, you're in the category I thought you were going to be in.
Yeah.
My answer is it depends on what kind of snake.
Well, no one's going to... Nah, never mind. Continue.
If it's a black snake, then I'm not on a lawnmower. I'm on the riding mower, which also makes it a lot more dangerous to run over any snake because it's coming after my ankles. So I'm probably not ever running over a snake with my lawnmower. On the riding mower, I probably have before on accident. But I would stop, and then if it was a black snake, I would watch it as it crawls into the woods. I'd be like, wow, look, a snake. And probably take out my phone, take some pictures, call my mom, be like, Mom, there's a black snake in our yard, and like stuff like that. And then, because my mom loves snakes. Whenever I was a kid, I would have picked it up. Now I haven't picked up a snake in a while, so I'm not really about picking up snakes in my yard because I haven't done it in a while. But whenever I was a kid, I'd be grabbing that thing by the tail and I'd be dragging it around and stuff. If it's a copperhead, I'm probably getting a shovel and probably killing it.
Okay. All right, what category am I in?
Play with it.
I think you're
You're
either
jumping on
pick
that
it
thing.
up or run it over.
Well,
You're not indecision.
Yeah.
I think you're also a depends on the snake kind of person. I don't know. Are you afraid of snakes? Is that what we're about to get at?
No, I'm not afraid of snakes.
That would have been a fun turn of events if it turns out that you
I
were
am
like
terrified of snakes.
Yeah, that would
I'm
have been really
running it
fun.
over. No, I'm definitely... It's funny because, like, my family knows if they just hear the lawnmower running... I have a zero turn. If they hear it running and, like, the things are to the side and I'm not on it, they're like, there's a snake. Because
Pick it up and-
I'm like a jump off the Steve
Yeah.
Irwin style, grab the snake. Now, I'm not going to grab a copperhead.
Yeah,
I'm not going to
yeah.
grab a rattlesnake. But any other snake, I'm grabbing. And
Yeah.
I'm usually like, I get a stick, wind it up, or pick it up depending on the snake and how big it is. And then I go like, hey boys, come out and play with the snake. Like,
Yeah. You're like my mom.
yeah.
That's
Yes,
what my mom was like.
I
You're
am
Connor's
You're
mom.
just like my mom.
Your dad was your dad. Steve Irwin was your uncle, and I am your mom.
Yes. Connor's got quite the family.
So I even like when the boys were younger to like I just don't want them to be afraid of snakes either. Like obviously
Yeah.
teach them which ones to be to not mess with, which ones are okay. And obviously black snakes are your best friend. They keep away copperheads
Yeah.
and venomous snakes. But garter snake, like I'll pick them up and like when the boys were young, I was like, hey, you can play with this one. Here's how to hold them so you don't
Yeah.
hurt them. And like also you're gonna let this bite you so you know what it feels like.
Holy
Oh,
crap!
frick no.
Yeah, we didn't
They-
go that far.
Garter snakes have like little sandpaper
Yeah,
teeth.
I've
kinda like-
I've been bit by like corn snakes and stuff before. Whenever we had like pet corn snakes, they bit me before.
Yeah, they don't
But-
draw blood or
they're
anything. It's just
small.
rough. But I don't want them to be
It's like the
afraid
inside
of
of a bass mouth.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. It's exactly. There's an intense discussion
Well,
going
here's
on
the
back
thing. Hey, when I'm not on the banter, I have respect
Yeah.
for people on the banter, and I keep my voice to a whisper. What we're dealing with back there is a couple of hoodlums.
Hoodlums.
We're
Couple
dealing with some
noodlums.
we're doing some Fruit Loops back there.
Hey, don't look at us hoodlum.
That they just want to just talk at normal volume. That's okay. Take it outside. See, there he goes again. There we go again.
Look, I see your waveform on the computer over here.
Whenever I was a kid, my mom would always. She was the same way. She would either like we told her whenever there was a snake in the yard because she wanted to come out and see it, or like she would tell us, and same thing. She would always pick it up and always like we'd be playing with it. And so I held so many corn snakes and king snakes and black snakes whenever I was a kid. But again, if a couple years goes by and I haven't touched a snake, then I'm not really quick to like go pick up a snake just because I haven't done it in a while. So I haven't picked up a snake in a while. So I probably wouldn't do that. But
It feels good. You feel like you like are really in touch with nature. And
Yeah.
again, it always makes me feel like I'm Steve Irwin, which I'm always okay with.
I love Steve Irwin. My mom was at the same. So before I was born, before my parents were married, or right whenever they got married, my dad owned a skate shop, and my mom was the was the manager for a pet store. So she
Makes sense.
always,
Okay.
which is funny because now my mom is a mom and my dad is like
A dad.
yeah, he's like
That's weird how
he's
that
like just
worked.
like a businessman. So, so my mom always was dealing with animals all the time. She's always loved animals. So she always tells us stories about how, whenever whatever kind of lizard got out and chased them around the store and stuff like that, and it's really fun. She hates Burmese pythons.
That makes sense.
Well, yeah.
Because she said that Burmese pythons is just like everybody wanted a cool exotic snake, and so they got Burmese pythons. But she says Burmese pythons are lame; they're not cool.
Dang.
I don't. So my niece.
They're like the red velvet of the
Yeah, they're like,
snake world.
exactly they're red velvet.
velvet. Yeah. Well,
His mom hates red velvet.
I don't like
Side
it either.
note. You don't like red velvet? It's my
No.
favorite cake.
I can. Okay, I like a red velvet cookie's okay.
Red velvet cookies are great too. Yeah.
I don't really love cake that much. So
I
that
love
maybe
cake.
that's that.
We had a chocolate ganache cake for my mother-in-law's birthday last night. Great time.
Oh my gosh, that sounds awesome.
Paid
Yeah.
$27 for it at Fresh Market.
Holy
But it's your
money.
favorite cake. It was like this big, and we enjoyed it. And I just didn't think about how much the slice cost me. Just kidding, I did.
No joy. No joy was found.
No, I did enjoy it.
Oh, joy was found.
Keeping on the reptile talk real quick.
Okay.
So my niece and nephew, you know Anna, I think. Maybe you don't. But
Her and her sister look alike, almost identical.
that's Sarah and Lauren.
Nope.
Anna's their
Okay.
older sister. But you know
I know the family.
Yeah. Anyway, but my nephew, the one that I said was from Washington State, like, so they live in Chesapeake now. He's in the Navy, and they before they just had their first baby, but before that they had like a reptile room in their house.
Wow.
They still have quite a few of them, but they have like this very mean, like 8-foot long yellow carpet python named Bali, and he's terrifying. He eats a rat that's like, no one can, if you're just listening, I'm sorry, but the rat's like
Heck
this.
no.
He'll eat them like that. They have 3 or 4. One of them is a Russian rat snake, which looks like a super powered American black snake.
Wow.
It's just like a thick black snake. And then they also have like these toads that you can only wear gloves when you touch them.
See, I don't understand.
I don't either. They don't love you.
I don't understand the obsession with reptiles at all. Like,
I
no
don't.
part of me gets it. I get fish. They're fun. They're
Thank
not
you.
going to hurt you. If they get out, they're going to die. So, like, you don't have to worry about one getting out and turning on your family. I get dogs. They're domesticated. I don't get cats either. Cats just kind of hate you, hate existing, and want to kill you. I don't understand letting something in your house and wants to kill you. And that's how I feel about cats and reptiles.
Yeah. Well,
Reptiles don't want to kill you.
Come on.
I mean,
You got to touch that frog with gloves on? Like, I mean,
It's
what
not-
are we doing?
No,
we
it's
got
not.
pythons that are
Well, I
eating
mean, I
rats
don't
the
wanna-
size of a baby.
yeah. I can't believe they keep all these snakes with their baby though. Like, again, that's
Yeah.
my worst nightmare. Like, those they're just plexiglass with a little lock on them. Mm-hmm. Like, that snake is fairly intelligent. It can find its way out.
Yeah.
I can't remember if my mom hated the Burmese python or if she hated the boa constrictors.
I think
I'm
all
about
of
to
them
call
are
her on the podcast and just have her rant about how much she hates the snakes.
very
Phone,
funny.
phone a friend.
Well, because, like, my uncle, completely different pivot, but it ties together. They always had guinea pigs. All of his kids
Okay.
wanted guinea pigs.
My mom wouldn't let us have guinea pigs.
This is a wound that's about to put salt in. Continue.
They wanted guinea pigs, and so they had guinea pigs, and on like 2 or 3 separate occasions, the guinea pigs would get out and just get into the vents of the house, and then they'd have to like search the house because the guinea pigs are in the vents.
Oh
and
my
we're having to try to
gosh.
find them. Like 1 or 2 times, they just never found the guinea pigs. Who knows where the guinea pigs are?
But they smelled them.
And they would just get new guinea pigs. What if that's a snake? And you're trying to go to sleep, and you're like, well, the snake's somewhere in the vents.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
That
like
would be
snakes on a
scary.
plane,
That would
but
be
in your
scary.
house.
like what? And you're just doing that. You all who have snakes, you're just letting them into your house, inviting them in, saying, have Thanksgiving dinner with us, and maybe have me for a side.
Yeah. Hey, if you're listening to this podcast and you have a snake, shame on you.
Yeah. How dare you? First
Shame
of all.
on you, you psychopath.
Yeah, I've just never understood it. Snakes are not my thing.
We had
Neither are
snakes-
cats.
we
Neither are
had
cats. I'm
snakes
not a
when I was
cat person.
kid.
I hate
We had
cats.
snakes. We had a couple of different lizards growing up. Again, my mom had a
Lizard,
had
I think, makes more sense. Like, I can get behind a lizard.
well, I mean, it's not that hard to keep snakes from getting out of their cages. Just to be clear, out of their tanks.
But one
But it
mess
just
up.
messes up once. and
I
it's-
don't see how there's a mess up. I mean, I guess I was like a little kid, like
You
5
ever,
or 6
you ever
years
forget
old,
to lock your front
and-
door?
Yeah, I guess so.
Like you take your
Well,
you
we
have
had- okay, but we
your
had,
kid
like-
opens it, wants to play with the snake, puts the snake back, doesn't close the top, snake's out.
That's what we had. Like
Or the
like
snake plays
little.
with your
We had like
kid.
little corn snakes, and so like those aren't. I mean, that can't hurt you in any way, and they're little, tiny. But yeah, I used to actually. We lost a snake one time before we moved, and it's because I was like 6. And I was walking around the house with the snake, and apparently I just lost it.
Now imagine
we never
that's
found
a
it. We
python.
never found the snake.
You sold the house and someone else moved in and like there's snakes in here.
Well, we did. We sold the house. Someone else moved in, and there's a snake in there somewhere.
But imagine that's a python.
I'm imagining it. That's what I was trying to say. I can't remember if my mom hates Burmese pythons or boa constrictors. I think it might be boa constrictors that she hates because she had, I think, a Burmese python that was like somewhere between 10 and 20 feet. And her and my dad had it because they adopted it from the pet store because no one else would take it. And so they just decided they would adopt it. And but then they had my sister Caitlin, and they noticed that it was like Caitlin was like the size of its food, and that it was starting to kind of like size her up. And so they were like, we probably should get rid of this. So they got rid of it and traded in for a bird.
See, birds make sense.
They got a scarlet macaw.
Yep. Makes sense.
Did I ever tell you guys about Buddy?
I don't know.
But this is a really funny story. I feel like I might have told it on this podcast before, but it's okay. You guys want to hear it again? It was probably a year ago or so.
I have a rodent invent story also after your story.
Okay, so my mom, like, they traded in the python for a bird.
Unadopted it.
Yes. And they got a scarlet macaw. Very expensive,
Beautiful.
very nice
Beautiful
birds.
bird.
Yeah.
Intelligent bird.
Very intelligent. We also had an African gray after the scarlet macaw, even more intelligent than scarlet macaws. Not as pretty,
Can't
but
they learn
can,
like 200 words or something?
Well, yeah, and the cool thing about African gray, like a scarlet macaw parrot, they can only mimic like words and sounds and stuff like that. While a scarlet macaw can mimic like the pitches and frequencies, so they can literally mimic your voice. And so like we had an African gray, and it would mimic the phone ringing. So my mom would go answer the phone, and it would keep ringing because it was a bird.
That's funny.
Or it mimicked my grandpa's voice. So it would just like be like, Kirsten, come downstairs or whatever. And my mom would come downstairs thinking that her dad was there, and he wasn't. Or it mimicked my mom's voice and would say, Caitlin, Carly, Konner, come down here. And we would come down there, and it was the bird talking to us. So like, it would like straight up, it would mimic people's exact voices. It was terrifying. But before that, my parents, before I was born, had the scarlet macaw, which just could say words and stuff like that, but like in a bird voice. But they become attached to one person. My mom brought it home, and for some reason, it got super attached to my dad. Actually, this was whenever they were dating, before they were married. So my dad would like come over to my mom's, like, I think it was a house or something, and he would just like play with the bird, and then he would leave, and then it would be like, Kevin, and then like all that stuff. So my mom went like a little bit too long without clipping its wings, because you're supposed to clip their wings so they don't go out the window and fly away and get hit by a bus.
Is that where this is going?
No, it's not. Where it's but it did get, so its wings got a little too long. And my dad was over at my mom's place. I don't remember where this was in their marriage. It doesn't matter. And it just like was like stretching and like spread out its wings to like stretch, but like a wind gust came through the window and picked it up. And so it had never really flown before, so it was so confused. So it just kind of like accidentally flew out the door and was like just like getting taken in the air. And my dad was like, "Oh my gosh!" And he like chased it out, and it was just like, like it like just kept on getting taken until it got taken into the woods. And so this bird had no idea what was going on. And so my dad just is walking through the woods trying to find this bird, and he just like, Buddy, where are you? And then he just starts to hear in the distance, Kevin. And he's like, Buddy. And he's like, Kevin. And then he like finally walks around the corner and sees it's on like a little tiny scrawny branch holding off for dear life, and it's bent like all the way over, and it's just like hanging on the branch going, Kevin. And so I picked up the bird and brought it back in the house.
That's very funny.
That's so sad. Like, that bird had to be so scared.
Yeah.
I went to this really cool pet store recently, again, with my niece and nephew, the crazy reptile people. But I've never seen a pet store like this, or like not in my adult life. But you walk in, they have like a ton of saltwater fish, ton of freshwater fish. They have a bunch of reptiles and stuff, which is where they got all their creepy reptiles. But they have a bird section where it's not like a normal pet store where they're all like in cages, or not even like a PetSmart or whatever where they're kind of in their like little glass thing. They're all on purchase out and roaming free.
No
Okay,
way. That sounds cool.
I'll show you guys a picture later. I just like, there's a big scarlet macaw, and I was like, I need that on my arm right now. And I went over and it like freaked out. It bit me. It hurt a lot. But
they do.
It did get on my arm. Eventually we were friends after that. But and at one point I had like multiple like parrots on me. And I'm like, I'm this place's worst nightmare. Like, this is what they don't want to happen.
You're like, this place has free samples?
Yeah, no, exactly. I got my bird fixing because eventually I do. Obviously, I want hawks, and we'll get there. But those are slightly more dangerous and care less about you. No, my rodent story. So when I was a kid, me and my brother were on archery. We're sponsored by archery companies. We did like archery tour circuits and did that thing.
What the heck?
Yeah, I paid for a lot of my college shooting a bow, believe it or not.
Heck yeah.
How have I never heard this?
I don't know. Well, my dad's a certified Olympic archery coach. Like,
oh my gosh,
so like it's this whole
what
thing.
the crab?
Yeah, so that's what we did growing up, was like we toured and did the tour shooting our bows. We went to Metropolis, Illinois, which is where they claim Superman's from, but it's not. So we did an archery shoot there. It was a long day. Just we were killing some time that evening before we went back to the hotel, and we went to a PetSmart, and we kind of like looked around. We're animal people. And so like at the checkout, we were like going through, I think we bought something random for our dogs or something to take back to them. And we're going through the checkout, and at the end of the checkout by the door, there's like a giant cage. It's like a 3-story cage, and it has 2 ferrets in it. And it says, help me, my apartment owner found out that I was in the apartment and kicked me out. I need a good home. And we're staying in a hotel in Metropolis, Illinois. And my mom and dad are like, we can't just like leave them here. What if no one takes them? So
no one should.
Ferrets
are nasty. Ferrets are gross, but they're very cute.
They're disgusting. I never want one again.
They are very fun to watch, though.
Yeah. So we broke down the cage. I had a backpack. We threw the ferrets in the backpack, took them up to the hotel room, and we're like, let's play with them. So we got them out. We were playing with them. They're, of course, ferrets are fun to play with. They're just not fun to own.
Yeah, I feel the same
their
way.
names were Zeus and Hercules. They already had given names.
Heck yeah.
That's fun.
So we were playing, and then like me and my brother were playing. We kind of turned our back. We looked around, and we're like, "Where's Zeus?"
No,
and we're like, where is he? And we heard some rustling. What he had done, he had gotten, there's like a little gap. It was like a residence inn, so it had like a kitchenette thing, and there's a little gap by the cabinetry and the stove, and it squeezed back in there. It had bit through the exhaust thing, like it's on a dryer, and was in the wall in this exhaust thing.
Oh my gosh!
So it weaseled it. I guess that's funny.
Ferreted
its way up into this thing. We had to pull the whole thing out. We disconnected everything, pulled the whole stove out, and we sat there. We're like, all right, we're gonna have to call hotel the front desk and say, hey, I know we weren't supposed to do this, but we brought ferrets into the room, and one is now in the wall, and we need your help. So eventually we used Cheez-Its of all things. We put some Cheez-Its at where the inlet and the wall, and eventually he came out, and I just again, Steve Irwin grabbed him and just pulled him out of the wall. And so we kind of kept him. I think we kept him in the bathroom, in the bathtub.
This is a good place for him
because it was too
sense.
slippery for him to
Couldn't
really get out.
Run up, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we did our archery shoot the next day, and we took him home, and we had him for 6 years.
Wow,
jeez,
wow!
I think they were 12 years old. They were old.
Dang, that's crazy.
But I've got some ferret stories.
So the owner of the apartment found out they were. Oh, so the
landlord found out.
So the person bought the ferrets, wasn't supposed to have ferrets. They found, okay.
For a second, I thought the story was going to end with them being back in the pet store, and it said hotel found out that I was living there and I got kicked out.
I should just embellish that a little bit. And, yeah, they were always fun. At my parents' house, they worked as a team. So, and they were funny. They had a lot of personality. So you would come home. I would come home from school. My parents had a entry living room kind of thing, and then they had a den that had a TV in it, and then there was another den on this side, and their cage was in this other den. And I would come in and I would look, and the door would be open, so they would just be kind of out and about in the house. And I'd walk by the couch in the living room, and one would pop out whack-a-mole style, and like nip my foot again, not in a playful way.
Yeah.
And they laugh. I don't know if you've heard them like hiss. They
No.
have like they're like like they laugh.
That's very funny.
So they bit, and he would laugh and like pop back under, and I was like, "What the heck?" And I would be walking the other way, and the other one would come on the other side and get me on the other leg and
my
laugh. It was like the worst game of tag ever. So,
very funny.
and final.
Ferrets are
want
funny.
ferrets.
I love watching ferrets in a pet store. I just don't want to take it home.
Well, and they supposedly had their stink glands removed.
Yeah.
That's not a thing.
Okay,
Like,
okay.
That's
what I was gonna
They
ask.
did, but they still stink. I can't imagine what they would stink like if they didn't have them removed. It's and they're just kind of dirty. They're a rodent. They're still kind of dirty, and like I don't know, they're just awful to clean up after.
Oh, I saw a comment the other day, and I should correct myself. It was a while ago. I said something about how nasty koalas are and I said like 95% of them have HIV. It's chlamydia.
Yeah. That's a species that would be endangered if they all had HIV. They're just people would wipe them out. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my bad. Not much better.
So
Sorry to all the koalas out there.
Yeah. Sorry, koalas. I didn't mean to misunderstand.
all
you
right,
like that.
I got to tell one final ferret story. Sorry for the ferret and snake
I love the
stories
ferret
today.
stories. They're a good time.
Okay, so I was in high school, and I think it was like either a freshman or sophomore. I made it all the way to like the state science fair. I did this like project and study on genetics and genes and how
I
they're
feel like every
passed
time
and-
you tell a story about your childhood, I'm like, I didn't know about it, but like, and I'm excited to hear about it, but I'm also not surprised at the same time about almost any story you tell. It rarely surprises me.
Okay.
Like whenever I learned that you were the best archer on this side of the Mississippi, it didn't make me feel like, oh dang, that's crazy. It made me feel like, wow, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, part of the reason I like disc golf so much in the like community of disc golf, it reminds me a lot of the archery community, kind of like niche, kind of small. Most people are like, hey, let me help you here. Try this thing, you know, like hand you. So
The flight numbers of this arrow are.
yeah, right. And they're completely wrong. So like that's how we are. Anyway, so
I'd be quicker to turn my back on a disc golfer than an archer though.
That's fair.
That's very fair. So yeah, I was doing this project, and the way I did this project on like genetics and like how genes, and what I did is I built a system for like predicting essentially what color combination a mouse was going to be based on
Okay.
like all of this, like all these generations I had like studied. And then I had like these sets of parents that I could say, hey, okay, if this parent and this parent, I can almost tell exactly what their offspring is going to be, which is pretty difficult to do. I mean, you can generally do that with anything, but so at this point, it'd been like months of doing this project. So I had multiple aquariums of small mice. I mean, like, I don't know what kind of mice they were really. I don't remember, but think of like golf ball, like that size mice. They were not very big. And there were probably at this point a couple hundred of them. Gosh. Surprisingly, like, was not as dirty. 300 of these mice are not as dirty as two ferrets. So whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, they were kind of like kept on like aquarium stands again for the time being while I'm doing this experiment. We did have the ferrets at this time. So, yeah. Oh no, foreshadowing. So one day I come home, and again, I just told the story. Like, if they're out, I'm like, okay, whatever. Well, my parents weren't home, so they should not have been out. I looked over. The ferrets found out how. Again, they're very smart. They found out how to open their front cage door, so they had opened it, and I was like, oh no. So I take one step in the living room, and it like, if you've ever watched Saving Private Ryan and like the beach scene,
Yeah.
it looked like that, but with mice. There were like hundreds of mice. And they didn't eat them. They just played with them. They like just killed them and like tore them apart and played with them everywhere.
My gosh.
And I literally was like frozen. I'm like, I don't know what to do. This is the most gruesome horror scene I've ever seen in my life.
That's awful.
And then they're over below the couch, peek their head out and laugh and like pop back in. I'm like, and they're just through the whole house.
Oh gosh.
So yeah, it was very sad and it was terrifying. But yeah, it looked like, picture any like I guess war movie you've ever seen.
Should place a little more fur.
Yeah, mass casualties, but insert rat and ferrets.
It's like Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah. So yeah, ferrets are cool. They're nice. They're fun.
So then did your science fair project turn into how quickly can a ferret get out of its cage if enticed by mice?
It's about natural selection, I think, at that point.
It's about ferret instinct.
I've had a lot of weird pets. You have any weird pets, Hunter?
I had
You don't seem like a weird pet guy.
dogs and cats. I had a fish tank. That's bad. My mom had a monkey at some point in her life.
That is so cool.
Yeah. She got rid of it, but.
Well, I figured that.
I mean, we had a horse when I was growing up. We kept at my granddad's farm, which now is my sister's farm. My sister has 2 bulls, 2 like mini horses, and a few horses. She's had some cows. She has a bunch of chickens.
Mm-hmm.
So I get my farm animal fix from my sister, and then I just have 2 dogs. I've always been a dog guy. My sister liked cats, and that's where my hatred for cats began. We had 2 outdoor cats and then 2 just house cats.
Mm-hmm.
I only ever liked one of our 4 cats we ever had, and that one got eaten by a coyote. So the rest of them were all mean, every single one of them.
Yeah, cats are
Now,
hard.
we might have been mean to them first, me and my brother,
Yeah.
but they were mean back. One of them I formed a bond with. Her name was Mittens. And I would every morning,
Good cat name.
every morning I would get up and I would, before school, I was in like 4th grade at this point, come downstairs, I would turn on cartoons, and Mittens would get on the couch. And I would lay on the couch, Mittens would jump up, lay on my chest, and I'd pet Mittens.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. It was basically like she was a dog. So this is where dogs are better. Because then what happened is one day, I did nothing in this situation. I promise. Typically, I was the instigator.
Yeah.
I did nothing to this situation. I laid down, turned on SpongeBob or whatever. Mittens jumps up. I'm petting her. Just petting Mittens, and I'm watching SpongeBob. And she just looked at me and went, and then clawed my face 3 times, and then jumped off and ran away. And from that point on, she wanted nothing to do with me.
Wow.
And she just, every time she'd see me, she'd hiss at me and try to claw me.
Dang, dude.
She thinks you created SpongeBob and she hated SpongeBob.
It was bad.
Dang, man.
Dusty was
I really
just
wanted
like
to be able to like pull out of thin air who the creator of SpongeBob was, but I couldn't think of it.
Dan something. Dan Schneider.
Dang. Was he the voice actor or was he the creator?
I think he's the creator. I think he was the creator of most Nickelodeon stuff.
Wow.
Dan.
Oh, is that the creepy guy?
Yeah, well, I mean,
yeah, the
most of
iCarly
them are.
creepy guy.
So I also like.
He was a producer, I think.
Okay.
Every creepy sign about Dan Schneider we failed to notice. It was a YouTube video. But
was impressive,
Dusty was just your normal cat. Like, you'd walk in the house and you knew there was a cat because there was a litter box and your allergies would instantly start messing up, but you wouldn't see her. She was just kind of like off doing her own thing. And you like try to play with her and she'd be like, what are you trying to play with me for? Idiot. Whereas all the dogs wanted to play fetch. They wanted to actually lay with you on the couch just to lay with you.
They cared.
They weren't going to hiss at you and claw. They wanted your approval. They're loyal. I don't understand cats. I hate cats.
I respect people who have cats, but I don't care to ever own one.
I respect people because they're people. I think
Yeah.
they're dumb for owning cats.
I went through a phase like I'm not too fond of cats either. I like my one cat that I have, but he's like kind of disabled and like he's cute and he like actually cares about you.
If a cat cared about me, I would feel a lot
Because it knows
different.
it needs you.
If
Yeah.
a cat cared,
That's
if
all
a
you
cat
do.
acted like a dog, I'd probably like the cat.
Well, that's what you just have to get a cat and then impair it.
Yeah.
I had a dog.
Yeah, this
Man,
cat,
let it know that you need me to survive. So just like break one of its legs, something like that. Yeah.
I had a dog.
That's the
that
most
kinda acted
loving
like
thing you can do
cat.
for a cat.
that what a waste of a dog.
No, it was a great dog. Because
Really?
it had some of the natures of a cat of like, it would like want to jump up on weird stuff and like be like, it could jump like no other dog. It was a Japanese Chin. She was, I don't know, just like normal, just like a really skinny small dog, like 12, 14 pounds, and could jump out of the world. So she could just jump onto the back of our couch. She was cat-like in the way she moved and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then she still wanted to cuddle with you and be a dog.
That's the best part of the cats. Then.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes.
So
I thought
it was
you
like the fun parts of the cat of like, you put her in the kennel and she boom, and you're like, what the? And then she's like laying on the back of the couch and like licking herself. Like she acted like a cat, but then you walked
it.
up and she wanted to actually cuddle and play with you.
Okay, I thought you meant like it was.
So it
just
was like if there was actually a cool cat in the world, which there's not a singular cool cat ever in the world anywhere. If there was one, it was Duchess, my dog.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, I thought you were gonna be like, oh, it's like a dog that just didn't want anything to do with you. And like,
No,
what a
I'm
waste
sure
of
there's
a dog.
dogs like that.
Yeah, that's a hard one. I went through a phase where I named cats and my parents and my family's cats after like old man names,
That's fun.
like Walter, and we had
My
a cat named
brother has a
Walter.
dog named Walter.
That's a great.
Yeah, his dog's name are Walter, Doug, and Elsie. Those are the 3.
I love those names.
Those are
I
good
love
names.
like I love like classic people names for animals.
Yeah, I do too.
My cat I was talking about, his name is Winston Bishop.
Great name.
Oh,
That's that good cat
after
name.
New Girl.
Yep.
That's funny.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought it was after Winston Churchill.
No, I would just call him Winston Churchill.
If he was after Winston Churchill, he would have named him Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
But I thought Bishop might have been like maybe Winston Churchill was a bishop.
I've
never seen New Girl.
We had a Westie named. Yeah, we had a Westie named Winston when I was a kid. He ate my pet rat. I had a pet rat named Mr. Tickletoes.
Wow.
You want to know how I named him? Because
You tickled his toes.
one time he crawled under my shirt and he was crawling on my belly and it tickled really bad. And then I was like, his name's Mr. I was 5. So yeah. But then I came home and his cage was upside down with the door open and then I found him dead underneath my bed.
Another reason I hated cats. They always ate my fish.
Ah,
I could
there
not
it is.
leave.
There's the root of the issue right there.
Could not leave my door open. I had this goldfish once. So you go to like school fair.
Yeah.
And you could do whatever and you'd win a goldfish.
The little ball,
Yeah,
like the glass things.
So it was just one of those situations. I went to the school fair. My parents did not want us to have fish because they just didn't want to clean their tanks and they're like, they don't do anything. You don't need a fish. So
Yeah.
originally no fish, but I went to the school fair, won a fish. So I came home with the goldfish in a bag. We had a little goldfish bowl. So I don't even know how old I was, like 4 or something at the time. Put the goldfish in there, fed him every day, took care of him. He lived for, I think it was 3.5 or 4 years.
Oh my gosh.
And how he died was it was in our bathroom, the goldfish bowl was, and every morning I'd walk in and feed him. And how he died was at some point he got to be like he started as a little goldfish. He'd gotten to be like this big, no joke. And just in like a normal goldfish bowl. So he didn't have room, but we didn't have anything else to put him in.
Barely
and at this point he's 4 years old. So we're like, we're not going to buy a whole tank. He's going to die any day now.
Yeah.
How he died is he jumped out of the bowl.
What?
Because he was too big. He just flopped out of the bowl and was just on the floor.
Oh my god.
And so I just walked in, he was just dead on the floor. And I was like,
insane.
That's terrible.
and so I just had to scoop him up, put him in the toilet, and flush him.
That's really
But
sad. He clogged the toilet.
the cats, we would get like my brother and I would have betta fish or goldfish after we had, because once we had that fish, and my whole family was like, that was so cool, and you get more fish. And multiple times I'd like leave the door cracked, and Mittens would get in, and my fish tank would be on the floor the side, and she'd just be sitting there like licking her paws on my bed, looking at me like, oh, you're looking for your little fishy?
I had sushi for lunch.
It was good. And I was like, Mittens, I'm going to kill you. Never did.
You ever call your parents bluff on something? When you were a kid?
Sure I did. I don't remember.
I'm
a
so interested in
situation,
whatever you're
but-
about to say.
No, this has apparently. I'm sorry, everyone that listens to this. We always end up talking about animals for an hour when I'm on here. Sorry, that's who I am. But I'm very good at carnival games, and my parents are like, they were at the county fair. There was this one game they would never let me play, and you could win an iguana, like if you were there. And they're like,
iguana?
Yeah, they had a cage full of iguanas. You could win either goldfish or like there's this one extremely difficult. You could win an iguana, and
Sounds like a special person to want to play that game too.
Yeah. This guy, I just like the challenge of it. And there's like, there's no way you can win. That's impossible. And I'm like, if I was a kid, then I would have said bet probably, but they didn't say that. Then. They said like rad then. So yeah, I did it. You got like 10 balls for like $1. I think the third or fourth one I won it, and they're like, oh, you have an iguana. What are we gonna do with it?
That's very funny.
So luckily my cousin had an iguana at one point, and that thing was so mean. It was like 6 foot long, and it would like snap your tail and like leave a welt on you.
So like why do you want that for a pet? People at
it
home
looks
with
like an
iguanas?
actual dinosaur. I wanted it. And so I got it from him. We had him for like maybe a couple months, and then one day just randomly I came home and he was like jerky. Like he just dried up.
Jeez.
I don't know how. Like,
oh my gosh.
It's not like we had him the next day and he died. Like this was months later. He just was just dried up. I don't know what happened to him.
That's
poor
crazy.
guy. I had iguanas. I had peacocks. I had a lamb.
Peacocks.
Yeah, that was a murder scene. My grandma had this like weird thing on Easter. She would buy us weird animals.
Okay.
So yeah, one
Jesus
year,
is risen. Here's a peacock.
Yeah, yeah. Here's a whole thing of peacocks, guys. And my parents were always like, Diane. So yeah,
Is your grandma's name Diane?
Yeah.
My grandma's name is Diane.
We have the same grandma.
Wow.
It's because we're brothers. Remember?
Oh yeah, that's right. That makes sense.
But yeah, it'd be like she'd be like, "Hey, I'll come down Easter Sunday. I got the boys a gift." And my parents are like, "Oh, great." And then it was like she rolled up in the truck, and it was a whole cage. There was like 12 of them, and
she hated your parents. Did she hate your parents?
I think so. And then so my mom and dad like, "Great, I guess we'll have to build a pen for this," because she didn't tell them.
Yeah.
She just like brought them. And so we stuck them in our garage and had the door shut. The next day we went out and a fox had gotten in it and just again feathers everywhere. It was disgusting.
Oh my god!
One year she got us lambs that got sick like a week later and died.
Dude, same. We had a lamb that died a week later.
Never had a lamb.
I had hedgehogs growing up. I loved my hedgehogs.
We had a hedgehog.
I had an albino one. His name was Knuckles.
Konner, you don't have to keep like saying because y'all are brothers. You grew up in the same house.
We had an albino hedgehog. Seriously.
Remember, what's his name on 3? 1, 2, 3. Knuckles.
Oh dang it!
I think
ours name was Weasley.
But I bred them growing up and like sold them to pet stores. And
oh wow.
Baby hedgehogs are the most disgusting looking. They look like, okay, think of a McDonald's chicken nugget, but if you take like the breading off and then just put spikes all over them.
Huh.
Like that's what a baby hedgehog looks like.
We had an albino hedgehog. Well, my sister got it because she thought it would be so cool. I think it's because some Disney character had one. And then we got it, and it was the worst pet in the world because you have to get it to warm up to you so that it's not just constantly in a ball of spikes because they just like curl up in a ball and all their spikes are sticking out.
Yeah, that was a great description, Brad. That looks exactly like a raw chicken nugget with spikes.
But ours was not a baby. But it was like whenever they're scared or stressed or they're just natural state is being curled up in a ball where their spikes are all sticking out. Mm-hmm. So like you can't really grab it. You really have to have gloves if you own a hedgehog so you can pick them up whenever they're in a ball. But once they like warm up to you,
not my hedgehogs, man.
Oh, okay. Well, once they warm up to you, they're not like that anymore. They just walk around and you can run your hands over their spikes because they're all laid down and they're smooth. Like it's all good. Ours never got to that state. It came to our house and was never happy. Never once in its life was happy. And so we had it for 3 weeks. My sister would sit there for hours holding it while it was in a ball, trying to like calm it down and everything. Never once came out of the ball, and then she gave it to our science teacher because we were like, "This thing hates us."
His name was Knuckles. I could come in my room where his pen was and say, "Hey, Knuckles, I'm home," and put my hand down, and he would smell, and he would uncurl and come over and just walk up in my hand.
That's
and
nice.
Carry him around.
That's what we thought was going to happen.
I had an albino one. Look how cool that looks.
That is pretty cool.
It's okay. You can say if it's not cool.
No, it's pretty cool. I just would not want it in my house.
Look at that cute animal.
It's got a mouse face. Its face is just a mouse.
I know, but
they're very cute.
They're way cooler version of a mouse.
They are way cooler. We only had one.
I'm not a rodent guy.
I'm not either.
I'm not a rodent or a reptile guy. No part of me.
No.
Hey, I mean,
desire.
I now the only animal I have is a doodle, so I've just ashamed all the animal world.
I just like dogs, man.
Yeah,
I'm just a dog guy.
I do prefer a dog. I do want to get a dog eventually. I want a Belgian.
Have dogs.
You have a dog.
I know. I'm just saying eventually. I eventually in like my later life when my kids are grown, I really want like a Belgian like Malinois or a working class German Shepherd.
You want like a blue collar German Shepherd.
Yeah. I want a Shepherd.
You want a German Shepherd and you want to put a blue collar on it.
I want a German Shepherd that can do like plumbing and drywall. No, I want one because I really like admire like the people like, police canine handlers and like military canine handlers. I really admire like the bond they have with that dog.
Oh yeah.
So I'd really like to try that at some point.
My dream dog, it was a Bernese Mountain Dog, but
beautiful dog.
They shed.
Yeah, they are really pretty.
Way too much. I mean, they get to be like.
I know someone who had a Bernese Mountain Dog or has one, and whenever it was a puppy, it was uncontrollable. It was. Well, they didn't do a very good job. Well, they like tried to train it, but we had to watch it for a week. Just destroys everything. Chews on everything. Does not stop licking and drooling on you. Just never calms down. Never calm. Like this. It was like 6 months old whenever we watched it, and it was the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
The whole reason I don't own one is this is because whenever I wanted a new dog, which at this point, I think once I have 2 dogs right now, Nova and Luna. Once they pass, we are probably gonna wait until Luca's old enough to want a dog on his own, and we can like train our son, teach him like you are going to train the dog. The dog's your responsibility. Mm-hmm. We'll like help, but like right now. our dogs, it's we have to take care of Luca, and then if you take care of Luca, our dogs are smart enough to be like, oh, they're not paying attention to me, so they can get into trouble, and so we have to keep them like locked up in their kennel a lot more than we want to, and we just feel bad about it. So probably Nova is getting older, and then Luna could be out on her own a lot more because she's not a mischievous dog. Other than if there's a sock out, she will eat it, and she will have to have surgery for it being stuck in her stomach. Thanks, Luna. But Nova's a very smart dog, and like the second you leave her, she's like, oh yeah, I can go get on the counter now. But Luna's too short to get on the counter, so she can't. So once no reason for anything I was just saying, but what I've always done is I find like there's a few different types of dogs I wanted, and I was like, I would go to the Humane Society and like play with some dogs, and most of the time you could like either just look at them and tell they're X, Y, and Z mix, or they have it like listed. And what I would always do is come home and like type in the like worst parts of owning that dog. Like what is like the worst case scenario? Because like I'm technically allergic to dogs. I'm highly allergic to cats. But if it's for the right dog, I'll embrace it. Like the Japanese Chin shedded like crazy, but she was only this big, so can't put off that much hair. But that's why like I never bought. Really wanted a lab because the labs, like everything about a lab, I really like.
But their dander's really bad.
Really bad dander and big droolers. And I didn't want to. I'm not really the one that was going to clean it up because Liz is the one that was going to clean it up, and Liz was like, I'm not dealing with that. She had a lab growing up, and so that's how we ended on a golden doodle. Well, I had the golden doodle before we got married. Then we got a Bernese Mountain Dog and a poodle mix after because I wanted a Bernese Mountain Dog really bad, and she didn't want to deal with the dander. Boom, poodle mix.
Burn a doodle.
But
then you burned a doodle.
That's how like when I was looking at getting Nova, I was looking at like German short-haired pointers. I think what was the name of the other dog? Gosh darn it! I was like, I really wanted this other dog. I forget what it was. It just had like I'll find it later. It doesn't matter. But no, there's like 2 or 3 dogs looking at, and then a Bernese Mountain Dog, and like those are the dogs that, like these are my dream dogs. If there's ever one at like the shelter or like a breeder nearby, I'm getting this dog. But what I did, I immediately was like, what's the worst parts of owning? Like, what's the cons of this dog? And the Bernese Mountain Dog, the 2 cons were the shedding. I mean, most of them could be like 180 pounds, and then they shed their entire coat. And so I watched a YouTube video of when it was like spring and they were shedding their coat, and the dude filled up 2 like full garage sized trash cans of hair brushing him. And I was like, I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
So in the secondary con, I still lived with my parents at this time, and so I wouldn't want this in my yard either. But apparently they are obviously like very cold, like they want to be in cold weather.
Right.
And so if it's too cold outside and they want to warm up, or if it's too hot outside and they want to cool down, they do the same thing, which remember, it's a 180-pound dog. So it's like the size of a full grown man. And they dig a like hole into the side of the hill for them to lay in. And that's like it's just part of their breed. That's just what they do to get warm or stay cold. And I was like, I can't imagine coming home from work or something or school or anything and finding that my dad discovered that my dog had just dug a 6-foot cave in the side of his hill. That would not be a good day. So that was those. The other one of them, the German short-haired pointer, I forget why I ended up not going with that one. But the other one was because it jumped. Jumped like nothing else. I forget what that dog was, but they would like there was videos of like a 6-foot tall chain link fence, and the dog would just like boom up and over it.
Is it a Belgian Malinois? Is that what?
No, it was
I always feel bad when people take.
I'll have to find it.
And I don't think this makes you. I don't think this makes you a bad person. I just think that a lot of people don't think about it. But I always feel bad when people buy dogs that are like meant to be in like Alaska and like all these like and be in really cold places, and they have.
Well, that's why I never got a husky too, because like I really wanted a husky, but like the average temperature around here is too warm for a husky.
It's the same thing with the Bernese Mountain Dog. They're supposed to be in cold weather, but my friends that have a Bernese Mountain Dog, they just moved to Florida.
Yeah,
and so like I feel bad for it.
I think we have Shelties right now, and it's funny you were talking about getting a dog to like, you know, when Luke is old enough to be. I think we got our youngest Sheltie. I think we got too young because we did the same thing for our boys. It's like we wanted a dog that bonded to them. That was like, you know, they were just like too young, so they didn't quite get, I guess, the discipline and responsibility. Although my wife and I like still I guess, discipline the dog. Like the kids who they really were attached to did not do the same.
Yeah.
So she's just kind of a wild child. Her name is Remington. She's wild. She is a crazy person. You guys have met her, I think, at this point. But I really love Shelties, and I really love like herding breeds. They're so smart and they're good family dogs. So I'll probably end up getting like a full size, like rough collie, like just a, you know, give a Sheltie like a mushroom from Mario, boop, 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 and it just like grows up to that size.
Yeah, that's why I like. I'm with you. I like the herding breeds too. I think they have like really unique personalities. Because what Bruno is Australian Shepherd
Brittany.
and Poodle.
That was the dog.
Oh,
breed.
Cool.
Yeah,
I want him.
Bruno.
I really liked like the hunting dog vibe because I like how they looked. And what I wanted to do back then is which is funny because Nova didn't really check any of these boxes, but she's been like my favorite, the greatest dog I've ever owned. But I wanted a dog that wanted to just be outdoors, loved like I could like train to just be off leash, and I could go hiking with them. I could take them fishing. I loved fishing at the time, and I was really into disc golf. So obviously, I'm really into disc golf. And so I was like, I just want a dog where everywhere I go outside, this dog comes with me.
Yeah.
And so that's why I was looking at a lot of like hunting breeds. And so that's where the short hair point and all that, because like I felt like the dog would be very fulfilled if I'm constantly taking it outside and walking with it. And it most of the time is like trained to be very responsive and right next to you. So it was like boom, boom, boom. Nova, I trained to do a lot of it, but the only flaw, because Nova, when I got her, I took her with me everywhere. Like went to the park all the time, and now I just don't do those things as much, so she doesn't get to do them as much. But she loved all of it. But the problem was, I knew golden retrievers can be really good frisbee catch dogs, and I'm a disc golfer, so I really want her to come play disc golf with me. Yeah. But a much larger part of me wanted to be able to take her to the backyard and just throw frisbees and she catch them. Yeah, you can't teach her, but you can. It's a lot of training though to teach a dog the difference between a frisbee and a disc. I have friends that have.
Bruno knew immediately. All I do is tell him no to a disc and say yes to a frisbee, and he's never tried to pick up one of my discs before.
Nova never learned.
But he also doesn't really care to play fetch.
Yeah, so Nova lives for fetch. Okay. Like, if I pick up anything that I can throw, she is just sitting there like, oh, throw that thing, please. And she learned quickly that I wanted her to like catch it out of the air. Yeah. So she would like sell her body to try to catch this thing out of the air. Like I would throw it too high, nose up, because I was doing almost like field work in the backyard. Yeah. And like there were multiple times where she just jumped like backwards trying to grab this thing. And she's a very clumsy dog, so she never really got good at catching it. But the time she catches it, it's electric. And then she just runs back, and I take it, and we can go play for like 2 hours in the backyard. Me just tossing, and she grab. So that was very fun, but it made it where when I took her to play disc golf, I would like tie her to my bag, and we'd be walking, and she was very obedient, stayed next to me. She wasn't pulling all that. And the second I throw a drive, she would take off, and my bag would just dump because
that happened to me a lot.
She's like, we're playing fetch. There's a frisbee. I'm going to go catch it before it hits the ground. And so she would run and pick up my disc and bring it back to me. I'm like, that just defeats the whole purpose of this game. Like, I don't know where my lie is. So funny. Nova never got to go play disc golf with me.
That's the one thing about Bruno, that because he's Australian Shepherd and Poodle, he's an Aussie Doodle, and he's got a lot of herder in him. Like the whole time he was a puppy, Gabby and I could barely walk around the house because he would be walking around us or blocking us and like stuff like that, because that's just what he does. He paces and walks circles constantly. And watching him play with other dogs is really funny because like all he wants to do to play is he's gonna like let the dog. He doesn't test other dogs. He just stands there and let the dogs like test him, and then whenever they start running, he chases them. Like he just wants to chase. Yeah, and that's all he wants to do. And so it took forever to get him to try to fetch stuff, and like even now, I have his frisbee and I'll throw it, and he'll go get it like 3, if I'm lucky, 4 times, and then I'll throw it the last time, and he doesn't have any retriever in him. So the frisbee will just fly by. He doesn't even look at it.
He's just like, he's tired. He's like, I'm done.
He's just like, I'm done, and they start sniffing around the yard.
Yeah,
and like
Nova, I have to stop her. Like I'll notice like, okay, Nova, you're tired. We're done. We're not, because like you don't need to keep playing fetch. Yeah, you got your energy out. We don't.
That's on my parents' dog. He doesn't have a choice.
I think she would go till she died. Yeah. If I let her.
Bruno, literally, you could go out there and be like, let's play fetch. And then you throw it, and he's just like, what do you want to do now?
That's
you want
to run? Luna will go out, and it's funny because I always in my head picture it as, because I still have an imagination, as they're playing like football, because Luna doesn't want to play fetch at all. But she doesn't want Noah to play fetch either. So Nova is just so focused on catching what I'm throwing.
Yeah.
And Luna is so focused on making sure she doesn't.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
so she plays incredible defense on it.
Yep.
And so like I'll throw it and Luna multiple times will jump up and like knock it out of the air before it gets to Nova, and then they'll just like play fight in the backyard over trying to get it. Luna doesn't want to bring it back to me. She just also doesn't want Nova to bring it back to me.
That's funny.
That's fun.
So they play great together in the backyard that way. But sometimes it gets a little too rough, you know.
That's how Bruno is with my parents' dog, is that like he will play fetch because the other dog is. So he has figured out that if he gets to the frisbee first and gets it, then Edisto, my parents' dog,
We'll have
will
to chase
chase him.
Yeah.
And then he just wants to be chased. So he just has like
He's
a
like,
great
oh,
time.
I just get the frisbee and chase
It's like
me?
it's funny
Easy.
though, because like he is very much like a dog where like what he enjoys to do is just do whatever you're doing with you, because like I guess it's just part of his breed or something. And so he is like, he's a really good dog to bring to do activities. Like he is like obsessed with exploring everything. Like he can't, he has a hard time sitting still anywhere. Like if we go to coffee or something, he eventually will lay down, especially now that he's like 3.5, but like he has to sniff everything first. So he likes to explore. But other than that, like we could pretty much take him to do anything and he would just have fun doing it because he just loves to do stuff with us. Like anytime we take his harness out, he freaks out. Or anytime we open the car door and he knows he's supposed to get in, he loves going on car rides because it means he's doing something with us. But
that Remington, the one I was referring to, that my boy's dog, what's cool about her, she's been around disc golf most of her life at this point, and she knows not to pick up the disc when we throw them. But what's cool is if we're doing field work or playing at the course at the house, we'll throw it. She will run as fast as she can to the disc
and sit by it.
Well, no, she'll like pounce on it and bark, and then run around in circles and then run back to us.
That's funny.
It's just like, hey guys, it's right here, it's right here, it's right here, and then run back to us.
that's really funny. That's
All right, it's that time of the episode to
Spin that
figure
wheel.
out who's going to be on the next episode.
Spin it.
All right, and then our sound is simple. Our sound is a dog bark.
Oh, okay. I'll be thinking that up as I spin.
Yeah, good.
All right.
Brad is back 3 weeks in a
Oh,
row.
come on, Brad.
All right, remove Brad's name, and Brad will be joined by Konner and
A repeat?
a repeat. I'm back.
Oh, okay. Come on.
Brad, Hunter, and Konner back on the Banter next week.
I love the animal episodes.
We can just keep the dog
Let's
going.
Let's try to come up with something other than dogs next
I
time.
agree.
Let's try
It
to come up
always
with something
comes
other than
back
animals.
to dogs on this podcast.
No
That's
animals.
because I love dogs.
And I
I'm
love
not even
animals.
that passionate about. Like I like dogs, but I'm not that passionate about
If we
it.
talk animals, I'm going to dogs.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, leave it in the comments below. What do you want us to talk about next week? That would be fun.
That's why have we never asked the comments to tell
That's
us
a
what
good
to
question.
talk
Yeah, I
about.
don't know.
Yeah,
That
because
is
They
I
usually just
genius
get pissed.
idea.
I have to warn the comments. I am running a half marathon this weekend, so
Oh,
all
yeah.
of you that hate the running episodes,
they're
I'll have to
coming back.
I'll have to tell my
okay.
half marathon story.
All right,
next
that'd be
week, so
great.
Don't come back.
It's
if
a
you
fun
hate
story.
the-
Last one was a really fun story. He finished on Fortitude Hill.
I did. I wore the hoodie and everything.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I still have the hoodie.
I'm
It says
excited.
I finished on Fortitude Hill. Kind of weird out of context, but
Yeah, very.
Kind of weird in context.
Yeah.
Still, yeah.
no, because I finished on it, ran right up it.
Yeah.
So I have the context. Still felt weird.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. You ready?
Yeah. Oh, that was good. That was like a schnauzer.
Thank you.
Hey, give me a dog breed, and I will
Oh.
do that bark.
Don't do that for me.
I want to hear like a pug. It's kind of like you're aggressively blowing bubbles.
Sorry for all the audio.
It was the snort. The snort was what was perfect.
it put
It's
it over.
hilarious.
This is the noise I hear at about 2 a.m. every night.
Okay. Wow, dang. Who let the dogs out?
Me at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
every night.
All right, we'll see you guys next week.